Small Arms Survey 2014, Women and Guns, considers the multiple roles of women in the context of armed violence and security, and, importantly, as participants in the Small Arms agenda. This choice of topic comes close to the 15-year mark of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security, which was adopted on 31st of October 2000. Resolution 1325 paved the way for a series of resolutions and initiatives that prominently take gender into account in policymaking, conflict resolution, and peace building, including the growing relationship between arms control policies and gender mainstreaming initiatives. It continues to act as a reference for future action. In 2012, the review conference of the Programme of Action on Small Arms and Light Weapons, in its outcome document, contained important language that was taking into account both the importance of preventing gender-based violence, which could be committed with small arms, and at the same time encouraging and facilitating the participation of women in policy making regarding small arms.
UN Security Council Resolution 1325 was passed on the 31st of October in 2000, and it is absolutely groundbreaking as a resolution. And why that is because the first time in the history of the UN Security Council, so the first time in 55 years since it was set up, they actually passed a resolution that specifically focused on women in contexts of armed conflict, their role in peace building, their role in security decision making, as well as protecting their human rights. So after the passing of UN Resolution 1325 in 2000, we've actually had 6 more resolutions from the Security Council that have focused on the issue of women, peace, and security. Now, the first 5 of these did not mention small arms, arms trade, or disarmament issues specifically, but the last 2, which were passed last year in 2013, specifically mention these issues. The first one mentions the Arms Trade Treaty and welcomes it, and the second one goes even further, having an operational paragraph in it specifically calling on UN member states, UN entities, and regional organizations to encourage the full participation of women in small arms initiatives. With the Arms Trade Treaty, although civil society organizations did not get the strong language they wanted around gender issues and women's participation, it definitely represents a step in the right direction when it comes to taking gender-based violence and its link to small arms seriously.
After the passing of Resolution 1325 and the subsequent 6 resolutions on women, peace and security, we see in the international community and even at the national level a genuine effort to do proper gender mainstreaming in terms of breaking down the silos between the 2 attempts to lower insecurity in society and bringing together the work on and research on small arms and light weapons and women, peace and security. For us, then, gender-based violence specifically means how women and girls participate in violence. So we're not looking at them just as victims, but also them as perpetrators.
In armed conflicts around the world today, you find, I would say almost in every single one, you find that there are female combatants who have taken up arms and have somehow served on either side of the armed conflict, if not both. And one example is in Colombia with FARC, where 30 to 35% of their soldiers are actually women.
This year, we looked at the root causes of violence against women, and particularly the role of social norms. In some cultures, the beating of one's wife is justified just for reasons such as she disobeyed her husband or she was rude to the in-laws. So we try to look at the connections between these types of norms and resulting violence, both in the house and in society as a whole. The special feature of Yearbook 2014 presents a collection of interviews with women that are in security forces, armed groups, etc.
There are stories of, and this is one within the book, of a young girl who is carrying her child into the front line with her gun and forced to fight with an infant strapped to her back.
Whenever we talk about gender issues or we look at gender disaggregated data, what we find is huge gaps. And this is an important aspect that also talks about the fact that these issues are sometimes neglected. And so throughout our chapters, we try to advocate for better data and more attention to gender aspects also in data collection and data analysis.
We really need to keep in mind three key aspects. The first one, having a robust monitoring mechanism. The second one, taking into account the relational nature of gender-based violence, specifically the social norms that come into play, but also the circumstances that surround it. And thirdly, we need to take into account how different forms of violence relate to each other and interact with each other, and then maybe escalate, such as in cases of intimate partner violence. So one of the main things that the Small Arms Survey is engaged in is expanding the armed violence research and policy agenda. Specifically, we're working closely with the international community in supporting Resolution 1325 and also in the monitoring of the various indicators that have been put in place by Resolution 1889. We are also actively engaged in setting up and fostering the emergence of national observatories that actually monitor levels of armed violence in a particular society.
There is a need to be more inclusive and to take into account that women represent half of the world, and what is their capacity to intervene in policy making, what is their capacity to have a say in the gun control process.